It's Tuesday, and that can only mean one thing. Well, actually, it can mean a number of things. It could be Taco Tuesday, but for our purposes, it is Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday, and we're gonna draw this guy, and we're gonna talk a little bit about art block. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. And like I mentioned in the beginning, it is Tuesday, and for the month of March at least, and maybe after that we'll see, but right now we've kind of kicked off this Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday collaboration that I'm working with Marshall Lee from Donkey Jaw Projects. I will leave a link to his channel in the description at the end. We'll see what he's up to this week, what he's doing with this challenge. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to be drawing a different alien from the one that I did before, because that's the whole idea of this challenge, is draw a different alien every Tuesday. So last time, what did I do? I did sort of I guess you could call it more like a mammal, or it was a rat. It was kind of a space rat. So this time I thought I'd do something a little more sort of reptilian, you know. So I'm gonna do sort of a slug type, or maybe not reptilian. I don't know what's an octopus? I don't know. I don't know the genealogy right now. But plus, this is an alien, so it doesn't have to fall into any of those categories. Where am I going with this? I don't know. But the other thing is, I wanted to talk a little bit about art block. I've talked about this subject before, but there were some other people that wanted me to kind of talk a little bit more about it. So while we're doing this, I might interject and talk a little bit about, you know, if you've got problems trying to come up with ideas, what to create and everything, and kind of get out from that, you know, that whole art block thing. So we'll talk about that. We'll work on another alien, and then I will catch you guys at the end. So let's get to work. All right, so here we go with another Take Me to Your Leader sketch. Last time I had like a kind of really slender type character, so this time I want to go the exact opposite and have sort of a sort of more buff, kind of filling up a lot of mass. So I'm going to draw this big, you know, alien slug type creature, and to do that I am using my Prismacolor Cold Erase pencil. That's one of my pencils of choice, and so I'm just going to go ahead and do some gestures. And while I'm doing that, I want to talk a little bit about art block. Now, I have mentioned this before on the channel, but there's a lot of people that want me to kind of do a little update. So there's been a lot of talk about art block in the past. It's a really sort of popular subject. If you Google art block or you search art block on YouTube, you're going to find a lot of different videos. And there is some sort of controversy around it. Some people say that art block doesn't exist. Some people say it does. I'm not really going to get into that, because whatever is true, if art block is affecting you, whether it's real or if it's something else, it's something that needs to be dealt with, so we might as well talk about it. So I think the major problem with art block is there's really no clear definition of what it is. I mean, I've seen a number of different videos and a number of different people say that, well, art block is this or art block is that. So to me, I think art block is just sort of a label that different people are just attaching to any issue that is hindering them from being productive or creative or whatever. So whatever you want to call it, I just think I think there's a sort of a larger issue here. Now, before I get into what some of those issues are, I kind of want to drop some hard truth on you for a minute. Now, some people aren't going to want to hear this, but first of all, you kind of have to ask yourself, why do you do art? Is art something that you want to do professionally? And if that's not your goal, that's perfectly fine. If you just want to do it for fun or as a hobby, then this isn't going to affect that at all. But if art is something that you want to do professionally, you cannot, I mean, art block cannot like disable you. It can't stop you from creating. You have to find a way to deal with it. There's no other way around it. You just, I mean, people who work in a professional capacity in artwork, they don't let art block stop them from creating. So for instance, I have a job where I am required to produce artwork, and I can't go in there and just say, yeah, it's not coming to me, I don't feel like it. Now, there are times where that's the case. There are times where I'm not in the zone, you know, I'm not as inspired or whatever. But one way or another, you have to push through that. I mean, if you are an accountant, you can't go into work and somebody needs you to do their taxes, and you can't say, well, you know, I've got math block, you know, I'm just not able to do it. Now, there's plenty of times if you're an accountant, you go into work and you're not feeling it, but you have to, you still have to do the work. Now, it may not be your best work, you know, it may take a while to get in the groove or whatever, but you've got to produce. Now, we'll talk about different techniques that you can use to help you, be more productive. But first, I kind of want to turn our attention back to the drawing, kind of let you know where I'm at right now. So you can kind of see it come into shape. I'm actually inking right now. For that, I'm using a Kiritaki brush pen, and I will leave links to all these tools in the description so you can check this stuff out. So art block, to me, art block isn't like a condition. It's not something that you have. To me, it's a symptom of a larger problem. And that problem can manifest in a number of different ways. So first we kind of have to identify what the issues are, and there's a number of different issues. Now, there's a lot of people out there that say art block is just plain laziness. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, but that could be the case. And you have to, with this one, you have to be honest with yourself. Are you just being lazy? I know a lot of people that say, oh, I just don't have the time to do artwork or whatever, but then they go on about, you know, all the video games they're playing, all the TV they're watching, and all this other stuff. So that one's kind of, you got to take a real look at yourself and ask yourself, am I just being lazy? The other thing, another one is fear. A lot of people have a fear that their work isn't good enough. If I put this stuff out in the world, people aren't going to hate it, or even yourself. If I start drawing, I'm not going to like it. You know, fear is a big factor. So that's something you have to consider and kind of work to overcome that. Another thing is depression. And this is a larger issue, and it's something that I think it's something that we can't really, it's so massive that we can't really discuss here. But if you do have depression, then you probably already know it, and that's something that really needs to be dealt with before I think you start attributing it to art block or whatever. That's something you got to deal with. Another thing is burnout. Now, this is something that I definitely think is a real thing. Now, if you are somebody that produces so much work constantly that you're just exhausted, then in that case you may need to take a break. I don't necessarily think you're having any kind of block. It's just you've burnt the candle at both ends, and maybe you need to take a step back. But a lot of people are having issues where they just constantly, it's just the norm that they aren't able to produce work, and that maybe they're not inspired. But I think if that's the case with you, you have to understand this, and I don't think a lot of people that find themselves uninspired realize that this is the case with all artists, even artists that you look up to, professional artists. There are times where we are not inspired, or we struggle with things. Everyone struggles with things, with how to draw things or coming up with ideas. I mean, you look at somebody like Jake Parker, who is just this wealth of all these amazing ideas, the stuff that he comes up with. I'm just always amazed by it. But I've heard him talk about how, this drawing's just not coming together, or I just can't do this particular thing. So everyone has those issues. So you're not alone. So don't let that stop you. Don't let that makes you inferior, because everyone deals with that. I deal with that all the time. And talking about Jake Parker, he has this whole idea of this creative bank account, where the more you draw things, the more you're making these deposits that you can then withdraw from. And throughout my career, I know this to be true, because I've drawn so many different things that once if I have to draw something, chances are I've probably drawn a variation of that somewhere along the line that I can kind of pull from that. I kind of know how to draw that and everything. So that that's a big part of it. But I think we all make excuses, and I do this all the time. Like, there's times where I can't work on this because I don't have my computer, or I don't have the right tools, or I'm not in the right environment, and a lot of times I don't create. But in retrospect, when I look at that, I have to say to myself, those were just excuses. I could have created something if I wanted to. So before we wrap this up and I give you some ideas of some things that might help you when you're dealing with this quote art block, let's go back to the drawing one more time, and I'll kind of explain what I'm doing here. So we're in the coloring stage, And I use a number of different markers. Again, links in the description. I think mostly with this one I'm using Chameleon and Artist Loft. I also use Copics. So, you know, whatever alcohol-based markers is what I use. So, you know, that's kind of my medium of choice for these type of sketches when I want to add color. But anyway, I just want to reiterate that everyone deals with these issues of, you know, not feeling creative or whatever. It's just professionals kind of learn how to deal with it and overcome it. And there's a number of different ways we can use to help motivate ourselves. One of the things, again, just realize what you're drawing doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you're drawing, as long as you're getting things out there, there will be improvement, and and your mind will start working. Like sometimes I'll just start drawing shapes or whatever and just kind of see what comes out of it. I don't have these fully ideas in my head most of the time. I just start drawing shapes and like, oh, that's kind of cool. What could that be? You can start out like that, just scribbling or doodling. That's a great way to start. The other thing is, you know, art prompts. There are so many, you know, things. I mean, you can just draw, just pick something that's around you. You can open up a dictionary to a page, put your hand down, and whatever that word is, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you pick out that word, and just draw something that has to do with that. You can do a random Google search. It's the same thing. You know, there's tons. If you just go on Google, look for prompts, art prompts online, there's tons of advice. Another thing that's, for me, is super easy to do is just fan art, because there's not a whole lot of, you know, thinking behind it, really. I mean, you're just drawing something that somebody has already created, maybe adding your own spin on it, but there's not, I mean, I always have a harder time coming up with original ideas, but fan art is just like, to me, that's kind of super easy. So, you know, just do some fan art. Now, if you want something a little more creative, there's a cartoonist, Thomas Clemens, who's this awesome strip cartoonist, and he created a system called Design a Super. So if you go to designasuper.com, he's got this just system that gives you all these different ideas that you can kind of create this custom superhero based on these you know, sort of prompts that are given to you. If your issue is more that you're not finding time to work on your artwork, then set some time aside. Block out a set of time every day at a specific time. Even if it's only 30 minutes, like the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge, where you do 30 minutes every day. If you set that certain block of time aside every day, then maybe you will find time to work on it. The other thing is just, you were talking about art challenges. Art challenges are a great way to produce artwork. Like, the ideas don't always come to me that smoothly, like I told you, even though I've been doing this for so long. But I started doing this March of Robots challenge, and because I have to put out another drawing every day, I'm thinking of all these different ways to create robots. And a lot of it is just me saying, just thinking of just whatever. Like, I did one that was like a gas tank. I'll just see something out, and what would a gas tank look like as a robot? Or think of different I'll think of different types of, like, warriors or whatever, like maybe a Spartan robot, or maybe you know, a pirate robot, or a Viking robot, or just different from, almost anything could be a robot. So, and then once I kind of have that idea, I can start running with it and everything. So that has really helped me, and I'm putting out at the end of this 30 days, I'm gonna have all these cool designs, hopefully cool. Some of them may be hit or miss, but again, that's the thing, you just do it. Every day I put one out. Some are better than others, but I'm not really worried so much about that. Just getting the ideas out there and, you know, learning and everything as I go, and that's a big part of it. So, you know, hopefully these things will help you with art block. I mean, I could really go on forever about this, and a lot of people are going to have their own opinions or whatever. Hopefully this helped, and hopefully it didn't upset anyone too much, because I guess it can be controversial. But those are some of my thoughts, and if you want to discuss it further in the comment section, we can do that. So yeah, that's about all I have time for to talk about art block. I mean, I could go on, but sooner or later I gotta wrap it up. All right, so this is week 2 of Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday, and the way this works, again, any Tuesday, you know, I've got a web page that lists all the different rules and everything. I will leave that in the description so you guys can check that out. But the gist of it is, every Tuesday, just do an alien sketch, post it online, and we've got a little playlist. And if you're doing videos of these, let me know, and maybe we could feature you in that playlist. We'll you know, put a little link to that, so when people are watching the playlist, maybe they can check out what you're doing as well. So yeah, and just don't forget to hashtag everything with Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday, or just the initials for that as the hashtag. And then I'm doing both just to, you know, just to let people know. So it really doesn't matter which one you use, both will work. Like I said, I'm using both. So if you're on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I'll be sharing these as well. And Marsh is doing that, Marshall Lee from Donkey Jaw Projects. So there will be a link to what he's up to. He's been doing some really cool stuff, so I'm really digging what he's doing. And yeah, so I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here in the Art Lab. There's a lot of other great content on the channel, so click that subscribe button and you won't miss a thing. If you're an aspiring evil genius, visit Serkworks.com for all your mad science supply needs. And if you want to contact me, hit me up in the comments section or follow me on social media. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you then.